Good morning. Today is Tuesday, November 14th. I'm Kevin Van Eck, and we are here. I am here for coffee with Amy and Kevin. Amy's going to be back next week. I'm flying solo again. Today, I want to talk about experience. This is something interesting because we've talked about experience over, I don't know how many episodes, many. Amy's talked about it. We've had other guests on, like Paul Blackburn, to talk about creating experiences. And so today, I want to focus on it because it's top of mind for two reasons. One is there's been no more pressing time to be sure that we are creating unique and memorable experiences for our clients. And number two, we just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago our At Expo 2023. So at Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, we host a large conference. 1,700 agents, in fact, were there for this day. And it's one day every year, typically in the fall. And this year we had one of our speakers as Will Guidara. Will, if you've maybe heard of him, he's quite famous now. He wrote a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, and he spoke at Expo this year. He was a co-owner and general manager of 11 Madison Park, which was a 3 Michelin star restaurant and voted top restaurant in the world. So where this ties into today is that he had talked through, as us, as real estate agents and brokers, we have a unique opportunity that most others don't. We get to spend so much time with each one of our clients. We have the opportunity to learn more about their lives and lifestyles. We have the opportunity to share in some of their most intimate moments as they're considering selling their current home or moving into a new one or both. And so we have the opportunity to learn about them. So I have 3 things I really want to focus on today, some quick steps you can take to make sure that you prioritize creating an experience for them and doing something different than any other agent out there. It's essentially being unreasonable. So number 1, ask questions. Now, these are questions beyond, an intake form when you're first meeting with a client and you say, hey, how many bedrooms and baths do you need? What does your family makeup look like, et cetera. These are more than basic questions. These are the whys and the hows and what did you use. These are the personal questions where if they tell you that they're into jazz, let's say, ask a follow-up question. Who's your favorite jazz artist? How did you get into jazz? What do you like about jazz? Do you go to live jazz shows? These are all forward questions, but we're digging deeper. And so take the opportunity to ask these questions conversationally as you're learning about your clients and their lives and lifestyles and their friends and family and neighbors and colleagues and everything that they do. So number 1 is ask questions. Number 2 is pay attention. We often actually ask these questions, but we don't pay attention. We don't actually listen to what they're saying so that we can use what they're telling us in the future to create memorable or unreasonable experiences. So listen to what they say, write it down. Make sure you store it in your CRM. Make sure you store it somewhere where it's easy for you to find and to reference later, because these are the things you're going to do in step 3, which is take action. You actually have to do something. Don't mail it in. So one of the things that Will shared on stage, which we know happens out there, where you do the same thing, let's say for a closing gift for every client. You're known because, or you think you're known because you give them a bottle of Ace of Spades at every closing, or you give them a bottle of Vouv, or you get every client X, the same thing, which in and of itself might be expensive. It might be something significant, but it doesn't necessarily create that memorable experience. So think through, go through what you've learned about them through working with them, all the time you've spent in the car or on showings or on the phone, reference those things and take action. Don't mail it in and do something basic. This is your opportunity to truly create a memorable experience that they share with their friends and family and neighbors and colleagues. These are the experiences that make you memorable versus just making them feel good when you give them a card and a bottle of champagne at closing. And you can do this not only at closings or when you're working with a buyer or seller. These are relationship ways that you can foster relationships in the future. Instead of maybe a small cap gift, if you have an A client, which means they're very likely to refer you, they have a large network, maybe they've been referring you consistently already, this is your opportunity to do something truly memorable and special and relevant to those specific clients and contacts. So don't mail it in. My suggestion to you is to use something as inspiration. There are 3 different ways you could do this specific to Will Guidara. And these 3 things I would do is number 1, make sure you read or listen to Unreasonable Hospitality. The second thing you can do for inspiration is search for Will Guidara's videos on YouTube or Vimeo. Search and watch clips from his different speeches and when he's talking. Number 3, be sure to follow him on Instagram. It's W Guidara. And if you follow him there, what's neat about it for inspiration is that he shares stories from others that send them to him on how they created these experiences using unreasonable hospitality. So that's it for me. Focus on creating these unique experiences because it's going to attract people to you. It's going to create exposure through those clients, sharing with their contacts and within their networks. And it's also going to make them feel great beyond a bottle of champagne and a card. Thank you for watching Coffee today. We'll see you next week. Amy will be back. And until then, you got this.